Lushootseed, hot slachel, hot Lushootseed. I know we have Nikita participating via the live stream because she is iced in. Okay, what we want to do is review some of these grammar pieces that we were learning through the conversation. Let's start out by practicing Altia slachel. Altia slachel. When we're talking about something that's happening today. Stab kwadzu hoya altia slachel. What are you doing today? As chal chaf altia slachel. How are you doing today? Next one. All to do cuesta. All to do cuesta. And that's when we talk about anything that took place yesterday. Stab kwadzu hoy al tu do cuesta. What did you do yesterday? As chal chaf al tu do cuesta. How were you doing yesterday? And then talking about tomorrow. Al hlu do cuesta. Al hlu do cuesta. Yeah. Stab kwadzu hoy al hlu do cuesta. What are you going to do tomorrow? I was trying to look for other questions. Yeah, I can't really ask how you're going to do tomorrow. I guess you could. Stab quads or as chal chafal shudo kwesta. How are you going to be doing tomorrow? Hula is hot shell. Hopefully better. Maybe I'll be doing better. Altia data 2. Altia data 2. Talking specifically about this morning. For all of these, we could also talk about the weather. As chaltia slachel, how is the weather? Altia slachel, today. As chaltia slachel al tudo cuesta, how is the weather? As long as we have that in our mind, that as chaltia slachel means how is the day in reference to weather, then we can also talk about that as we plan ahead. Or as we talk about, well, how was the weather yesterday? Why the heck were the schools closed? I woke up and there was no snow, but it was the ice. So, thinking about the weather, we also know how much that changes. Being in the Pacific Northwest, we get all of the weather in one day. And we also know that things shift. As chal chaf altiat data 2, how were you doing this morning? Oh, as chal chad altiat data 2. I was sick this morning, hoy. Now I'm better. Stab kwadzu hoy altia slachel. What are you doing tonight? So for this one, altia slachel. Altia slachel. Another reminder that shlach is dark. Lach is light. Shlach is dark, lach is light. Hey. Are you here with Odessa? Okay. I couldn't remember if she was going to be here today. Let's review some of the verbs. Notice that we underlined the oo, because as we look at some of those prefixes, the oo is an action that has a beginning, of end, and end. I know I'm going to start cleaning and then I'll finish. I know I'm going to start working and then I'll finish. I know that I'm going to work out. This activity has a beginning and an end. When I'm cooking, I know I'm going to start and I'm going to finish the cooking. When I get ready, I know that this is a task that's going to have a beginning and an end. So that ooh can either be an action in a limited space of time that has a beginning and an end, or an action that takes place in a limited space. When we talk about la talawal, that would be if somebody was running from one place to another with that la. But you can talawal. If you're on a treadmill, you can talawal. You're in a limited space. You're not going from point A to point B. You can bush if it's in that limited space. It's just going to be right here. I'm on a treadmill, walking, running. So let's practice going over some of these verbs that we were utilizing. Uyayus. Uyayus. Stab kwadzuhoy, what are you doing? Uyayus chud. Uyayus chud. Ukweltsu. Ukweltsu. Stab kwadzuhoy al tia slachel. What are you doing today? Ukweltsu chud. I'm working out. Ukweltsu. Ukwuktsu. Ukwuktsu. Ukwuktsu chud. I'm cooking. Hue ukwuktsu cho. Ukwuktsu cho. You are cooking. Hot lead. Hot lead. Hot lead chush. We are cleaning. Hot lead chush. Kwebitsu. Kwebitsu. Kwebitsu chud. I am getting ready. Ukash. Ukash. Getting up, waking up. Ukash chud, I'm getting up. Fine, I'm gonna get up.
Sounds like you don't want to.
Ukash chud. Utadzil. Utadzil. I'm going to bed. So the difference between utadzil, and we also have the word for sleeping. Sometimes when you are going to bed, unless you are very strong in those mental powers to just turn everything off and go to sleep, going to bed is like, okay, now it's time for you to go rest, get comfortable, and then eventually you're going to sleep. But so this doesn't mean sleep. This just means go to bed. Talawilt. Talawilt. This is to drive, to cause something to drive. One of the questions that you could say, or that you could ask when it comes to driving, is you could ask us chaltads talawilt. Us chaltads talawilt. How was your drive? And in reference to today, with how the road conditions are, Nikita chose not to talawilt. She chose not to drive in today because she's iced in her area. So this is where you could actually use talawilt in one of the sentences as chaltads talawilt. How was your driving? Or never mind. I'm just going to leave it at that. I was going to go somewhere else, but I'm not going to. Another one we were practicing, tulalip. Tulalip. Tulalip, to read something. And then if you want to be specific about what you're reading, tulalip chud ti talalip from my heart. I am reading talalip from my heart. Ukwuk. Ukwuk. And then I know somebody asked about this. Would it be uukwuk? Uukwuk for playing. Uukuk chud ati chlit dahab. I am playing Go Fish. Uukuk. Not to be confused with ukuktu, which isn't to be confused with ukwektu. This one's for Nikita. Khatil. Khatil. Squabble up. Then we also had over here, we had chalalek. Chalalek. Comes from that root word chal, which means to make a mark. So creative marks, drawing, painting, coloring. Uchalalek. Uchalalek. I'm going to add that u because this u represents all of those active verbs, the ing. And then we also had alads. Alads, to care for or babysit. All right. How many different spots did we have a conversation going? All over the place. We went through that conversation. So actually, let's try this out. Without your whiteboards, I just want you guys to listen to me. And I'm going to read through that conversation between Joe and John. And I just want you to either close your eyes or just listen and start to acknowledge the pieces of the language that are familiar to you. Okay. Stab qui hlads hoi altia slachel. Hlud zalached bidchad ti hudli altia slachel. Hlu quolo chud ti badats. Lushootseed u ti badats. Lushootseed Charlie tis dats. Hoi stab qui hlads hoi. Hlut ataud chud. Asached. Dai chud astagwa. Hlut a chud al altud. Ha tis athled alti al altud. A u quadtala. Hue gua abits cha. Quaidilts. Saliachi ilts. Equi salats. How did that feel?
I can read it on the board.
Ah, Spuds. You weren't supposed to be looking. I said, close your eyes. How did it feel to be able to just listen? Do you guys feel like there were words that you were like, ah, I know that one. Ooh, I know that phrase.
The
Guabits.
That's what I was using this weekend. with
Oh, nice.
Camila.
Hey, dite hot.
Or Tala.
Hot Tala.
Tala.
Uh-huh. So, Melissa, besides reading it as I was going.
I didn't notice it until like you got to the middle one. I was like,
Oh, okay. But how did it feel? Do you feel like, yes, I was able to keep up with that and understand those pieces. Eh? And reading it was just like, yeah, that's exactly what it is. Because then you recognized it. It's right there.
Yeah.
Bob, how did it feel to be able to listen to that?
Yeah.
Did you feel like you were able
Caught a lot
to
of it.
keep up and yeah?
Surprising. Yeah.
Yeah.
I knew quite a bit of what you were saying.
Mm-hmm.
When you close your eyes, it's kind of like you're there. You kind of see what they're doing. That's what I always think.
Were you able to understand some of it, Ron? A little bit. We went over this conversation and we were able to break some things down and we were able to kind of really go through some of these pieces and talk about the phrases like, do you have something? Please give it to me. We were able to talk about Alta, the village, and talking about money, that ilt ending. So when we have those things underlined, like those are kind of some of the reminders too of what we've really tried to focus on. Dait chadas tagwaf. I'm very hungry. Dait chadas huakwil. I am really tired. So that use of dait and how that changes the way that we're used to saying as tagwaf chud. Well, if I'm very something, then I'm going to dait chadas tagwaf. So seeing the way that the words switch around. I also think what this reminds me of, being able to just listen to somebody go through and speak what would have resembled a conversation. When I was early in my learning, I loved those moments when I would hear somebody get up and speak at an event. People I'm thinking of is like when I would hear Shelly speak, when I would hear Toby speak, when I would hear my sister Sonia speak. When they would start to just kind of free flow in speaking the language, I was really excited when I could pick a couple of those words. And I'm like, oh, okay, now I know what they're talking about. So, oh, they're talking about this. Oh, they're asking for special prayers over this. Like being able to pick those pieces. Even if we can't get the full gist and understand like word for word or grammatically how everything is flowing together, I want everybody to kind of sit in those moments and really be able to honor the words and the phrases that you can understand without having the help of breaking it down or without having that scope of English. So I'm going to go through it again without looking at the board, Melissa.
Okay. Let me take off my glasses.
Stab quichlad hoi altia slachel. Hlud zalachad bid chad ti hudley altia slachel. Hluquolo chad ti badats. Hluquolotseed u ti ich badats. Hluquolots Charlie tis dats. Hoi stab quishadzu hoi. Hlut ataud chud. Asached. Dai chadas tagwa. Hlut a chud altud. Hat tiasa atled. Alti altud. A quadtala. Hue guabits cha. Quid ilts. Saliachi ilts. Equi salats. Ooh, Hoya. That one's finished. Second time through, are there any pieces of the grammar that kind of stick out to you? It kind of falls in line with you said guabi. It's like that. Please hand it to me. Please hand it to me.
Or hearing the
Hlu. Hlu prefix, something that will happen. one thing that stuck out to me just by reading it is his stats. Charlie tis dots. Charlie is his name. Shukwolo chud ti badats. That S, his, hers, their. That one stuck out to me while I was reading it. Anything else? Wait.
The money.
Money? I was looking at the money right when you said that. Quaidilts. Sali achi ilts.
My hand went.
Guabits. All right. Okay, let's do this other activity because it's kind of going to be the same thing. We'll have some guiding words that we'll write down. And then I'll read through, not a conversation, but an experience. I think I realize now why it's hard for me to erase things on the whiteboard. In the classes that I've taught, I've really enjoyed like chart paper so that you can stick it up and use that reference all throughout the classroom. So at the high schools, I was used to writing up verbs and grammar. I was able to write that and put it on the wall so that we always had it for reference. So that was my little discovery. This is why it's hard for me to erase things. All right. All right. Tia tudokwashda. Tia tudokwashda. What do you recognize in there? chaltia tudokwashta. Or does anybody know what it means?
At first I thought it meant doctor.
Oh,
But
doctor?
I thought so until you pronounced it, and I was like, oh.
Let me just focus on this part. Tudokwashta. Yesterday. Does it help having the other thing gone?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yesterday. Tudokwashta. So reminder that this is in the past, change or transformation, and that ashda is for day. So tudokwashta could mean yesterday, or it could mean a long time ago because it has that to prefix. For tas slashlil, this is a combination of the to and us prefixes to make this. So what does the to mean? Long ago. So this is our past prefix plus our state of being. And I can't remember if we went over the word aslashlil. Aslashlil, to live somewhere. Does that sound familiar?
I think we did.
Aslashlil, just briefly.
Yeah.
Briefly. So aslashlil means to live somewhere. Taslashlil would talk about somewhere somebody used to live. Taslashlil. Taslashlil, used to. A squoa. A squoa. With. Together with. For example, on how you would use this one, I could say, this isn't exactly correct, because we would do something slightly different. But if I said, Shlut ataud chud asquo utsi Melissa, what am I saying in this sentence? This is an example of the asquo.
We'll go into town.
I'm going to go to town with Melissa. Okay. Yep. So we've got that shlu future. We got the ataud, going to town, and here's this asquoa. So that's how you would use that one. Doing an action together with somebody, asquoa, with. Okay, siahob. Siahob. This is what we use for a traditional story. In this territory, we use siahob. Southern Lushootseed, they use They use a different word, and I lost it. Oh, sweetab. They are, is it sweetab or sweetab? Sweetab. So they use a different word for traditional story, but these are traditional stories that are passed down. So Siahob, traditional story. Skiayahob, that's multiple. So traditional stories. Dofs Yahob. So you notice that we have this word right here. Dofs is somebody who specializes in something. And this TX raised W, just like how we had the word for talawilt, cause something to run. Yahob is to tell a traditional story. So a dufs yahob is somebody who specializes in that, or a storyteller. You guys have probably heard us, before we tell our traditional stories, say, Shlu yahob tubutlid. Shlu yahob tubutlid chud. I am going to tell you a story. And then we have this here. If I put it in the parentheses, kind of fits within English. So this is going to be a title of a story. And this is about K'aka. Who is K'aka? Bet you Preston knows. Huh?
Who's who?
K'aka. This is what I love about this, the name of this animal. Once you think about it in relation to the sound that they make, then you know what animal it is. Caw, caw. Crow, crow. So listen to the animals and you might hear their names. Aka, Eatsy. Who remembers the E? And Aka, Eatsy, Skeb. This is octopus. So this is the story crow and octopus. Okay, I'm gonna try to write this. Okay, so it's written up there. I'm going to read it. I'll read it through a couple times. O Hli Gualapo, Hat Siayaya, E Tid Ishid, Altia Tudokwashta, Ud Zalachad Bidchad, Ti Al, At Ti Tudsapa, Al Chetaks. Taslalil Asqwo, At Si Chagwas Mata. Dufs Yahob, Tzi'il Mata. Tu Yahob, At Ti'il Kaka, Itziskeb. Tu Yatzabt, At Kwika, Sia Yahob. O Hligwalapo, Hat Siayaya, E Tid Ishid. Altia Tudokwashta, Udzalachad Bidchad, Ti Al, At Ti Tudsapa, Al Chetaks. Taslachel Asqwo, At Si Chagwas Mata. Dufs Yahobt Tzi'il Mata. Tu Yahobt At Ti'il Kaka Itziskeb. Tu Yatzabt At Kwika Sia Yahob. Are there any words that are up there that you would like me to write down before we move forward? Any words that you want a definition for? Mata. Mata. Martha. Mata.
Okay.
Eh. Mata. So let me put this over here. Mata. Martha. What else?
What's the meaning for the one?
Chetaks. Chetaks. Rock Point. Priest Point. Yep. So reminder that for our place names, what else? Are you guys familiar with, or do you remember Chagwas?
I was just gonna say, is that wife?
Wife. Yep. Chagwas. Wife. Anything else? Are you ready for me to read it again? O Hligwalapo, Itid Ishid. Oh, did I forget something?
I think it's the
I forgot the Hat Siayaya. O Hligwalapo, Hat Siayaya. O Hligwalapo, Hat Siayaya, Itid Ishid, Altia tu dokwashta, Udzalachad Bidchad, Ti Al, Ti Tudsapa, Al Chetaks. Taslashil Asqwo at Si Chagwas Mata. Dufs Yahob Si Mata. Tu Yahob at Ti Ish Kaka itziskeb. Tu yatsab kwika siya yahob. How are we feeling on understanding what's being said here? O shigwalapo hat siyaya tid ishid. So that's just calling out to the people who they're talking to. So somebody right here is just kind of acknowledging, oh, you folks, my good friends and my relatives. O shigwalapo hat siyaya tid ishid. Altia tudokwashta. Altia tudokwashta. Yesterday, Udzalachad Bichad, I visited Ti al Ti Tudsapa. Udzalachad Bichad, Ti al Ti Tudsapa. Udzalachad Bichad, I visited the house of my late grandfather at Rock Point. This is a good example of chunking things together so we don't get confused. I was visiting the house. I went to the house of my late grandfather. Has anybody ever done that before? Have you ever went by somebody's old house? We lived in Everett when I was, I think, in kindergarten, half of kindergarten, half of first grade. And whenever we go into Everett, it's by that golf course right off of Evergreen, like in between Evergreen and Colby. I think it's Colby. Yeah. And we lived in that area. We lived on Wetmore. And there are times that we've driven through that neighborhood and we tried to determine which house was ours. So if I were to say, Udzalachad bichad ti al ti tudchas, I would be saying, I visited the house from when I was a kid. So does anybody ever do that? Do you guys ever go drive by some of the houses, familiar houses of any of your relatives?
That one I go to is the one by just a little past the marina and what was it? Oh, Brand.
Mm-hmm.
We used to just pass by them, like, see if they're okay.
Mm-hmm.
My dad took me up by Leavenworth,
Mm-hmm.
and the Wenatchee Chief. I thought it would be a really big, fancy old house, and just a little shack.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's where he lived. He never did. He always helped everybody else, but he didn't keep things for himself.
Uh-huh. My mom liked taking my grandma up to the Sauk Suattle area, just going for a drive up there and being able to look at some of those locations for her relatives and be able to learn from grandma about who lived where. So that's what this reminds me of. Oshli Gualapo Hak Siayaya Itid Ishid, friends and relatives. Altiat Tudokwashta, yesterday, Udzalachid Bichad, I visited Ti al the house at Titud Sapa of my late grandfather. Al Chitaks, where was his old house? Priest Point, Rock Point. Taslashlil Asquoa Si Chagwas Mata. Taslashlil. So, what is Taslashlil? He used to live there, Asquoa, with Si Chagwas, his wife. Who was his wife? Martha. Taslashlil asqo atsi chagwas mata. Dufs yahob tsi mata.
Martha was a storyteller.
Martha was a storyteller. Tu yahob ati kaka itsi skeb. She told, long ago, she told of crow and octopus. Tu yatsab akwi ka sia yahob. She told, like long ago, she told a lot. Ka means a lot. Tu yatsab akwi ka sia yahob. She told many traditional stories. Okay, since we got 1 minute left, I want you guys to just close your eyes. Now that we've gone through it, I want you guys to listen to me say this and just kind of soak that all in. O hligwalapo hat siayaya itid ishid. Altia tudokwashta udzalachad bidchad ti al at ti tudsapa al chataks. Taslashlil asqwo at si chagwas mata. Dos yahobd si mata. Tu yahobd at ti il kaka itsi skeb. Tu yatsabd akwi ka sia yahob. Uhoya, uhoya. How did it feel being able to listen to that one after breaking everything down? Does it feel like you were able to soak in some of it and understand it? I like taking those little passages and being able to break those things down. And this is also one of those things when we go through and we start chunking those pieces together, and I hope that that helps build your confidence in taking those little bite-sized pieces and being able to translate them. So if chunking, breaking them down like that, if that helps you, especially with udzalachad bidchati al atitut sapa al chataks, that's a long sentence. So taking those little pieces that you know, udzalachad bidchad, I visited, ti al. Okay, what did I visit? I visited the house. Atitut sapa, it was the house of my late grandfather. Al chataks, it was located at Rock Point. So with those really long sentences, take those little chunks and do what you can. Translate what you can, and then take that step back and be like, oh, okay. Yesterday I visited my late grandfather's house. It's at Rock Point. Then you kind of put it into your little good English of how you want to translate it. Uhoya chat, we are all done. That's what we're going to get through today.